see you there. I was just looking at this glorious new face of mine. I just went down to my beauty mortician's the other day to get my monthly formaldehyde shot, as a lady does. But, do you notice anything else about me? Maybe these darling new nails? They're not mine. There was some hideous little thing in the reception area today, and she was just so rude. She didn't deserve these exquisite claws, so with a, simple exo-digitata spell, they were mine. They're on a little crooked, but that's to be expected when nails are forcibly removed from someone. It's actually rather funny. There was some other wretched little thing in there who thought I might want her nails. They were ghastly, of course I wouldn't. But she was so terrified that she offered me a story. It's rather fun, actually, so I thought I would share it with you, seeing as I neglected you last week. I'm so sorry, dear. I just forgot all about you. So, tuck yourself in and get ready for the Aria of Death, a short story of Antifaz by Laura de Novis Berry. Snake Coil sat on the old dungeon floor, surrounded by smashed vials and beakers. As a dark purple cloud began to dissipate, he could see that moonlight was streaming in through a massive hole that had been punched through the foot-thick stone wall. A trail of something thick and gooey led outside into the wilderness. Oh no, Snake groaned. His experiment had gone horribly wrong. All he had wanted was to take a piece of old magic. Not even a piece, just a morsel of it really, so he could imbue some of his more lackluster potions with a little bit of pizzazz. But something from that inscrutable realm of forgotten fairies and sleeping beasts had gripped onto his little fishing line and had dragged itself out. Snay had felt rather than see the creature. His throat had overflowed with a vile, putrid substance. Clutching at it, Snay had begun to spit out whatever it was that had invaded his most sacred place, his body. His customers might let just anything flow down their gullets, but not Snay. No, sir. Only the finest ales, the purest cuts of beef would be allowed to graze his tongue. Snay had fallen to his knees, tears streaming down his cheeks. He watched a dark blue hand reach out of his mouth and grip his shoulder. All of a sudden, Snay had felt his body recoil with revulsion, and as he vomited, something flew out of him. Snay heard an explosion, and there was a poof of smoke that Snay now realized must have been when the creature escaped his ramshackle laboratory. He gripped his hair in horror. He was barely holding on to his potion's peddling permissions as it was. If anyone found out that he had unleashed this thing, whatever it was, he would surely lose it. Shaking and sweating, Snay smoothed back his gorgeous teal locks. No one needs to know, he reassured himself. After all, how bad could it be? I was hardly doing anything that would have attracted something very awful. It'll be just fine. Some idiotic hero can deal with it. He stood up, feeling much better now. He was even smiling to himself as Chartreuse eyes blinked behind him. He was still smiling as claws sank into his spine. "Have you heard? Something ate Farmer Grunkle's bull last night." "Oh dear. Was it Bunyan or Stew?" "Bunyan. Only his horns were left." The marketplace was abuzz with tales of some horrible beast that had been stalking hunters in Giloston Wood and attacking farms on the outskirts. It seemed that all of Antiphas was trembling with fear. No one could imagine what could be causing all this carnage. As evening fell, the marketplace soon emptied. All the vendors were eager to be on their way and off the path before darkness or something else consumed them. Old Sophia stepped onto the woodland path, but a hand gently gripped her shoulder. "Is that wise, Sophia?" Tulip the florist whimpered, her eyes skirting through the trees looking for invisible threats. Old Sophia snorted. "Don't tell me you're afraid of those ridiculous stories." "Of course I am, and you should be too," Tulip cried. "Let us go the long way, around the wood." "Come now, Tulip. You know Farmer Grunkle is always exaggerating. Maybe a werebear ate his bull, but there is no full moon tonight, and my old knees can't take the long way round. I will go this way." Old Sophia began to shuffle down the path as Tulip fretted behind her. Soon the pair of them entered the woods. The further they walked, the darker the sky became, until at last the two women were walking the path by memory rather than by sight. A pair of chartreuse eyes watched them. A snap cracked the air. The women froze. "It could be anything," Tulip whispered in a rare show of courage. Old Sophia cleared her throat and patted her friend's hand. Yes, you're right. Let's keep moving. We're almost." Old Sophia's foot sank deep into something she wouldn't describe as soft, but wet and warm. As if hearing her internal plea for light, the clouds moved away. The moon sent down radiant silver beams to reveal the gaping chest cavity of Farmer Grunkle. Old Sophia and Tulip screamed. Old Sophia tried to yank her foot out of the dead man, but his ribs caught her ankle, and she fell onto her rear. Tulip dragged her away, but then the women lost their voices. Glaring eyes gazed at them, and the low snarl sent chills through them. The women watched as Farmer Grunkle's body was tugged into the shadows. In a little cottage, baby Aria was just waking up. She knew it was almost time to wake up her mother, but she decided she would let the poor woman sleep for a little longer. For the past several nights, Aria had been waking her mother up all throughout the night, on the hour, because she was determined to become a champion-sized baby. And this required many feedings throughout the night. Some time ago, Aria's grandmother had shown Aria a painting of a baby that had looked very much like her, but this baby's neck was protruding, absolutely bursting out of the little lace collar that tried desperately to keep it in. Aria had decided then and there that she would become even fatter than that baby. She would wiggle and jiggle with the slightest movement of her head. Oh yes, when she was finished, she would absolutely be the fattest baby. So, her mother would have to help her, and to do that, she would have to wake up every hour. It couldn't be helped. Aria lifted one of her plumped arms and waved it. It jiggled joyfully. Aria gurgled with satisfaction. The weight gain was coming along nicely. She looked through the slats of her wooden crib at her parents, who were both sound asleep. Aria giggled. She'd put a stop to that. It was time to eat. She opened her mouth to cry out when something caught her attention. A tall, dark shape was creeping towards her parents. She was affronted. How dare this interloper try and ruin her fun by waking her parents up first? Aria grunted her annoyance. The shape stopped moving. Chartreuse eyes glimmered in her direction. Aria frowned. The eyes were like the cat's, but this was not the cat. It was bigger. She harumphed once again, and this time the mysterious thing moved away from her sleeping parents. It seemed to glide across the floor and didn't make a sound. But Aria's nose wrinkled as the eyes stared down upon her. A terrible smell was emanating from this thing that was not a cat. She frowned. She did not like it. She was a little surprised when she found herself being lifted into the air. Her thick legs kicked, but she wasn't afraid. She was mostly shocked by this thing's boldness. Most newcomers had to pay tribute to her before they picked her up. They all needed to coo and compliment her. This thing was not following proper procedure at all. Aria burped when she realized the thing was holding her higher now. Its mouth was open. She could see a red tongue. No tribute, a bad smell, and now this thing wanted to lick her like the cat did? The utter gall. She had known the cat since birth. The cat was the only thing that had that privilege. How dare this thing be so forward? Perhaps it was the acrid smell that filled Aria's cute as a button nose. Or maybe it was the indignation of it all. But something turned Aria's stomach. Thick, white spit-up flew from her mouth. It splattered all over the creature's face. An ear-piercing howl shattered the calm of the cottage. The creature whirled violently and dropped Aria right on her parents' bed. They both were awake now and screaming at the horrible sight before them. Steam sizzled and popped as Aria's spit-up worked its way through the creature. Aria's parents snatched her and held each other close. The creature's howls soon ceased as more and more of its form was eaten away. Soon, there was nothing but a gooey pile of spit-up on the floor. Aria peeked over her mother's arms. The thing that was not a cat was gone. She could finally get something to eat. The end. Oh, little Aria. Who wouldn't do what you had to do to get some food? I mean, I know that I'm famished. I'll do positively anything for a bite. Now, I'm sure you're very hungry in your little mirror, and I don't know how to feed you, so I suppose the best thing you can do is go back to sleep, my little parakeet. And don't worry, I will be back next week with a story for you. Good night. Parakeet, what are you doing? I need the glass. What are you writing in the mirror? You fogged it up. Where can we find... Oh! How silly of me. I was too distracted looking at... Well, me. Who wouldn't get distracted by a face this pretty? Now I suppose you want to know where you can find more of Elora de Novus Berry's works. Well, you should visit berriesbooks.com, where I hear she has a few full-length books. Some more stories of Antifaz to thrill you all with. Now, go away and let me keep looking at myself. Seriously, shoot.